All right, everyone, find your seats and settle down. We have a very important lesson to cover today, so I don't want to waste any time. I know we're all very excited for Halloween this weekend, and that is exactly why we need to get through today's lesson. I won't lie, it's a break from our usual topics, but this is one of the most important and valuable things I can teach you all, so pay attention. Today's topic: slasher survival. This is information you wouldn't want to be caught dead without. In fact, without it, you may just wind up dead. As we all know, the world can be a pretty dangerous place, especially around Halloween. I don't need to remind you all about the incident a few years ago with those brutal killings. Kids your age, cut down in their prime. As tragic as it all is, we are fortunate to be able to learn from their mistakes, as well as the mistakes of many others before them. Yes, question? What mistakes did they make? What a perfect transition. From years of personal study and experience, I have concluded that there are certain rules that one must follow in order to survive a horror scenario. Of course, each scenario is different and has its own set of rules, but there are general rules that apply to all situations. We will cover those first and then move into some specifics. I doubt we'll have time to cover them all, so I highly suggest that you take notes. Oh, and there will be a test on this. I'll warn you all now, it's a real killer. First off, the basics. These are my golden rules for the most common Halloween threat: the slasher. Can anyone tell me what a slasher looks like? Anyone? Anyone? Yes. A creepy mask and large knife are pretty typical, but surely that isn't all. Any other descriptions? Strong, silent types? Another good answer. Let's take one more. Yes, you? It's a trick question. Do tell. Bravo. It is a trick question, because a slasher can be anyone. Precisely, looks like someone's a horror movie fan. While there are many different types of slashers to encounter, from silent stalkers to creepy phone callers, they all have one thing in common: the rules. These villains may be varied in appearance, attitude, and tools of the trade, but the one thing that unites them are the rules they are bound to. Follow the rules, and the slashers won't come after you. Rule number 1, keep your hands to yourself. I won't sugarcoat it. You're at the age where passion runs hot and emotions are high. Therefore, it can be tempting to explore with one another at a Halloween party or sneak away from a bonfire to have some privacy. Under normal circumstances, this would be totally fine. But when there's a slasher about, best watch out. Studies have shown that of all those who survive a slasher encounter, most commonly, it's the virgin. Those that do the deed may wind up dead. Rule number 2, drunk or high, prepare to die. Those that aren't aware of their surroundings or themselves make perfect prey for a slasher on the prowl. Again, under normal circumstances, you're free to do as you wish, but this is not one of those times. As soon as your judgment goes out the window, chances are you'll go out a window and right to the grave soon after. I know that sounds like a buzzkill, but better that than be killed by a buzzsaw. Believe me, it's quite the mess. Yes? Did the students from the killings prior break these rules specifically? Well, believe it or not, they did. One couple violated all 3 rules to be exact. The 2 were at a party in the woods, started drinking, decided to go off and have a little alone time, and wound up lacerated by the lakeside. The other 2 that were killed were also under the influence of drugs. The survivor, however, said that she went to the party alone, didn't join the others in their more extreme activities, and was the only one who lived to tell the tale. Little vocabulary for you all. The female survivor of a slasher attack is called Final Girl. I'd keep that for your notes. Yes, another question? Another great transition. I did say the couple by the lake broke 3 rules, which brings us to our final golden rule. Stay together, stay alive. This rule is akin to the law of the jungle. If you get separated from the pack, you get eaten. Never under any circumstance do you go off alone or with only one other person when a slasher is stalking about. Saying, "I'll be right back," is practically saying, "Please come and murder me." There's safety in numbers class, and if you want to survive to see another Halloween, I suggest you stick together. Whatever you can do to make the slasher's job harder, the better. Alright, that covers the basics. Follow the golden rules and you'll find yourself safe in most slasher situations. Before we get into more specific instances, does anybody have any questions? How do you know if a slasher is around? Great question. Slasher settings and haunted grounds are as varied as the killer who occupies them, but there are a few obvious signs you can look for. This will be on the test, so pay attention. So, some things to look for to spot a slasher villain. The easiest way to know is to know yourself. Does anything in your life around Halloween seem to change at random? Have you been asked to babysit the neighbor's kids, even if you haven't done so in months? Have you or your friends suddenly found a new hangout spot in the woods, an old farm, a campground, or a cabin? Have you or anyone you know suddenly become interested in urban legends and myths? Are your parents taking a spontaneous trip out of town and leaving you home alone? If any of these are true, chances are there's a slasher after you. If you can recognize the signs, then you're already a step ahead. We're running out of time. We've gone over quite a bit, so I think this is enough basic information to get you through the weekend. As for the specifics, well, I guess that will just have to be learned in person. Question: what is it? Where did I learn all this? Well, now, just because I normally teach you writing doesn't mean I only know how to talk about books and movies. I have many interests and skills, my dear. When it comes to slashers, I've done some extensive research. A lot of it was hands-on, believe it or not. No, I wasn't attacked by a slasher. Despite how I may look, I'm no final girl. I've always had trouble with them. They seem to get smarter every year. But I suppose that means they took my lessons to heart. So even if they got away, it's a win in my book. Yes, your question? You're confused, sweetie? Oh, that's no good. You're usually so sharp. Of all the students in our class, I thought you'd see it by now. As I said, I have lots of experience in this particular field, and I'm no final girl. So what would that mean? You said it yourself. A slasher can be anyone. Saved by the bell. Looks like we won't be taking our test today after all. Luckily for you all, this is a take-home test. It's simple. If you make it back to class after the weekend, you pass. To make things a bit easier, it's even open note, so I hope you wrote things down. I do love a good challenge after all. Study hard, class. Happy Halloween. I look forward to testing each of you very, very soon.